I'm sinking! Somebody help me, please! Her tiny hands clawed at the sand. Her voice cracked. The earth opened its mouth and began to swallow her whole. First her feet, then her legs, then her waist, until only her panting shoulder and tear-streaked face were left above ground, her body halfway buried. But the more she screamed, the faster the earth swallowed her. Agatha, the little orphan, sent on a wicked errand by the same woman who was meant to protect her, her wicked stepmother, to the place no one returns from. This is not just a story. It's a shocking, emotional journey filled with cruelty, pain, power, and shocking twist. You'll cry, you'll gasp, you'll cheer. Subscribe now, bestie, and don't blink, because every second of this story will shock you. The full story begins now. Agatha! Pamela's voice tore through the house like thunder on a quiet morning. Agatha jumped. Her heart nearly leapt out of her chest. She dropped the small broom she was using to sweep the corners and ran in, trembling like a leaf in a storm. Pamela stood in the middle of the room, arms crossed, face red, and lips twisted in that familiar wicked smile. "Oh, look who finally crawled in," she said, fake clapping slowly like it was a joke. "The royal snail has arrived." Before Agatha could even ask why she was called, Pamela burst into laughter, loud, wild laughter that echoed off the walls. She laughed so hard her eyes watered and her stomach jiggled. "I can't wait to see the look on your face," she snorted, wiping her eyes dramatically. Then, without warning, she reached beside her and handed Agatha a small black nylon bag. Agatha took it and immediately wrinkled her nose. The smell, the weight. Something was off. Pamela folded her arms with satisfaction. "That's my used menstrual pad from yesterday," she said, almost proudly. "I just wanted you to have the honor of personally delivering it to the Malotha River." Agatha's hands shook. "Malotha River?" she whispered. Pamela gave a fake shocked gasp, placing her hand on her chest. "Oh? You know the place?" "Of course you do. That creepy river nobody likes to talk about. The one full of sand pits and strange sounds. Yes, that one." But it's far, and people say..." Pamela's face darkened in an instant. "Are you questioning me, you useless leftover?" Before Agatha could blink, a hot slap landed on her cheek. The sound of it bounced off the walls. Her skin stung. Her knees went weak. "Move it," Pamela barked. "Or would you prefer the poultry shed again? Remember last time? 1 week, no food, locked up with the hens. You came out smelling like chicken poop." Agatha didn't argue again. She bit her lips to stop the tears, turned around, and walked out. The bag felt heavier with every step, like it knew the shame it carried. Her heart pounded like a drum, her sandals scraping the dusty ground as she headed toward the river. The street was quiet, too quiet. Doors shut, windows peeking. Nobody said a word. No one asked where she was going. They never did. But as Agatha walked past the dried cornfields, a strange breeze brushed her face. It was soft, almost like a whisper. She paused, looked around, but saw nothing. Just dry grass and a cracked road. She clutched the nylon tighter. She had no idea that today wasn't just another punishment. No. Today, something darker was waiting at the river. And it wasn't water. A moment later, Agatha finally reached the edge of the Malotha River. Her feet were covered in dust, her throat dry, and her heartbeat thumped so loud it echoed in her ears like a drum. The river was as quiet as a graveyard. No birds, no breeze, no sound at all. Even the trees stood still, like they were watching. Her hands trembled as she held out the nylon. She thought of going back home with it, but the memory of Pamela's slap still burned on her cheek. She couldn't afford another punishment. With her eyes half closed, she flung the nylon into the water. It landed with a dop. For a second, everything was still. Then, the nylon opened. The used pad inside floated up like it was alive. Agatha gasped and stumbled back. No, what is this?" The bloody pad creature screamed and leaped out of the water, chasing her with wild, sharp legs like broken bones. Agatha turned and ran. She didn't even think. She just ran. But something was wrong. She wasn't running toward the house. She wasn't running toward the town. She was running in circles. Big, wide, never-ending circles around the same field. She turned left, still the same field. Turned right, same dead tree, again and again. "What's happening?" she cried, her voice high and cracked. She screamed, "Help me! Somebody help me!" Her voice echoed, but only the wind replied. No doors opened, no heads peeked out, no footsteps came running. Nothing. It was like the world had swallowed her cries. The creature behind her laughed, a horrible, wet, sticky laugh that sounded like Pamela choking on her own wickedness. It ran faster. It was gaining on her. Agatha's legs were weak, her breath sharp and painful. She fell, face first, into the dry, cracked soil. And then, the sand beneath her feet began to move. Slowly, gently, like it was alive, and it began to pull her in. "No, no, not like this," she screamed, trying to crawl away, but her legs were stuck. The more she fought, the deeper she sank, and the pad creature was almost at her back. She screamed louder, her voice cracking. Then, her eyes rolled back, and everything faded into black. Morning came. A farm widow named Mama Teju was walking past the field with a basket on her head. She hummed an old sorrowful song. Her steps paused when she noticed something strange ahead. She squinted. Then her basket fell from her head as she let out a loud scream. There, in the middle of the sandy field, was Agatha. Only her head, neck, and chest were above ground. The rest of her, her arms, her waist, her legs, were buried deep in the earth, like it had swallowed her overnight. Agatha's eyes suddenly snapped open at the scream. She gasped for air. "Help me," she croaked, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Please, help me." Mama Teju stared, wide-eyed, frozen in shock. She looked like she'd just seen a ghost. Agatha stretched her neck, begging again. "I'm alive, please, don't go." But Mama Teju, shaking her head wildly, covered her own mouth and ran. She didn't look back. Agatha watched her disappear, a fresh wave of tears running down her dirty face. The sand around her chest was heavy, cold, like it wanted to keep her forever. Alone, trapped, forgotten. And that's when it happened. Her memories came flooding back, all at once, like a dam had broken in her mind. Flashback. She saw herself as a little girl, barefoot, holding a flower she had picked for her mother, her real mother, a soft-faced woman with kind eyes and warm hands. Agatha remembered the smell of her perfume, the way she used to sing while brushing her hair. But then, Pamela, tall, harsh, with eyes like poison. She had come after the fire that burned their house. Agatha was just 6 when they told her real mother was gone forever. Gone? Or taken? Pamela didn't hug her. She didn't wipe her tears. Instead, she pointed at a mop and said, "If you want to eat in this house, start cleaning." Agatha remembered every slap, every skipped meal, every time Pamela made her sleep outside in the cold. The poultry shed, the locked doors, the bruises she covered with ash so no one would ask questions. She remembered nights of crying until her chest hurt, days when the sun rose, but joy never did. She remembered how no one in the town spoke up, how they looked the other way, pretending not to notice her scars. She remembered the pain. And now, stuck in the earth with no one around, it all felt the same. Meanwhile, back at home, laughter echoed through the poorly painted living room like a celebration after a wicked victory. Pamela leaned back on the wooden chair, peeling oranges with a knife so sharp it could slice more than fruit. Her eyes sparkled, not with joy, but with pure relief. Nida, her pampered daughter, sat cross-legged on the cushion, twisting her braided hair. "Mommy," she said with a chuckle, "I think that good-for-nothing girl won't come back again." Pamela cackled. "Yes, of course. I mean it," Nida continued, rolling her eyes dramatically. "Good riddance. I can't stand her nonsense pride. Every time she'll be saying rubbish like, 'I will be queen one day, I will be president.' Ha! President of where? Poultry Republic?" They both burst into another round of mocking laughter. Nida wiped fake tears from her eyes and added, "Mommy, Can you imagine? She once told me how she dreamt that she was the one making food available to everyone in this whole city. As in, everyone. She said the whole market bowed before her. Pamela nearly choked on her orange. Ha 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 ha! That girl needs serious prayers. Dreams, you say? That one is dreaming with her two eyes open. Pamela leaned forward, her voice dropping to a satisfied whisper. You know, I've been thinking of how to chase her out of my house for months now. I just didn't know how. But yesterday? Ha! Yesterday gave me the perfect way. She licked her fingers slowly and nodded, as if proud of her evil strategy. I can finally relax now, she said, and give my full attention to you, my beautiful daughter. You're the one with real sense. You're the one with future. That dream Agatha is always talking about? Don't worry, it's for you, not for her, of course. Nida smirked. Exactly, Mom. Some people are born to serve, others are born to shine. Me, I'm the star. Pamela laughed again. Back at Malotha River. The breeze had grown colder. The birds that usually sang by the riverside were gone, like they knew something strange was happening. Two young men, Kingsley and Henry, were walking down the narrow footpath that led past the quiet field near the river. They were returning from clearing bush for a nearby farmer, their shovels still resting on their shoulders. Kingsley was the first to see it. Guy, wait, he whispered, stopping in his tracks. Did you see that? Henry squinted. Wait, what is that in the sand? Then they both froze. There in the open field was a girl, half buried in the earth. Her head and chest were sticking out. Her hands couldn't move. Her face was pale, and her lips were moving, crying, begging. Help me! Agatha whispered, her voice almost gone. Please, don't leave me! Ah! The boys turned and ran like lightning. They didn't look back. Their feet barely touched the ground. Only when they were far, far away, panting like scared goats, did they stop under a mango tree to catch their breath. Bro, did you see that? Kingsley gasped. Henry nodded, eyes wide. I did. I saw it. She looked like a ghost. Or maybe she's playing prank? Kingsley hesitated, his hands still shaking. What if she's not? What if she's really in danger? The boys stood in silence for a moment, hearing nothing but the beat of their own hearts. Then they nodded at each other, slowly, nervously. They turned around, step by step, with fear gripping their chest. They walked back to the field, cautiously, like someone returning to a haunted house. But when they arrived, she was still there. Agatha's eyes widened at the sight of them. Please, she cried, please don't leave me. I'm not dead. I'm alive. Help me, please. Henry looked at Kingsley. Kingsley looked back at Henry. They didn't speak, just nodded. Without a word, they both dropped their bags and gripped their shovels. With urgency, they began to dig around her body. But something strange happened. The shovel didn't go through. They tried again, harder. Nothing. The sand refused to move, like it had turned to stone. They struck and struck and struck, but not even a scratch. It was as if the earth had locked Agatha in with invisible hands. Henry stepped back, breathing heavily. Bro, this sand, it's not normal. Kingsley nodded slowly, staring at his shovel like it had betrayed him. We're wasting our time. It's not working. Agatha's tears flowed like a river now. Her face was covered in dirt and sorrow. Please, don't go. I'm scared. She wept, shaking her head. But the boys slowly stepped back. One whispered, forgive us. And then they ran away, leaving Agatha, once again, alone. Her lips trembled as she sobbed, God, please don't let me die like this. And as she closed her eyes in pain, the wind whispered through the trees, and the ground beneath her began to breathe. Back at Kingsley and Henry's house, the night was quiet, but their hearts were not. Kingsley sat on the floor, his hands on his head. Henry paced around, looking like someone whose soul had left him halfway. Bro, I can't sleep, Kingsley finally said. Henry stopped walking. Me neither. That girl, the way she cried for help. And the way the sand refused to let her go, Kingsley added, his voice shaking. That's not normal, Henry. That's something else. They sat in silence for a few seconds, their minds racing. Then Henry stood up suddenly. We need to tell someone. Somebody who can help. Maybe one of the chiefs. Kingsley jumped up. Yes, Chief Kukuma. He listens. He's close to the king. If anyone can do something, it's him. The next morning, before the sun fully rose, Kingsley and Henry stood outside the gates of Chief Kukuma's compound, their eyes red from lack of sleep. Who is there? The guard asked. We need to speak with the chief. It's urgent. It's about a girl trapped near Malotha River. Minutes later, Chief Kukuma came out in his wrapper and walking stick, his wise eyes narrowing. Speak, he commanded. They told him everything, how the ground refused to open, even after digging. Chief Kukuma gasped. Take me there, now. I must see this with my own eyes before taking it to the king. At Malotha River. As soon as Chief Kukuma saw Agatha buried from chest to toe, tears on her dusty face, he froze. He stepped closer, heart pounding, then spoke gently. Young girl, what is your name? Agatha looked up weakly, her voice barely a whisper. My name is Agatha. The chief's voice cracked. How long have you been like this? Agatha blinked as tears fell again. 2 days, sir. Chief Kukuma looked at Kingsley and Henry, then back at Agatha. He nodded slowly, his face deep in thought. Don't be afraid, my daughter. Just be at peace. We will come back for you soon. I promise. He turned to the boys. We must act fast. This is bigger than we thought. This is not just any girl, and this is not just any case. A few minutes later, the palace guard stood straight as Chief Kukuma entered the king's court, his walking stick tapping against the marble floor. The king, a wise man with silver hair and a voice that could silence storms, looked up from his golden chair. Kukuma, he said, you came early. What trouble woke you before the sun? Chief Kukuma didn't waste time. He bowed once and went straight to the matter. Your Majesty, something strange, no, something spiritual is happening at the edge of Malotha River. The king sat forward, interest sparking in his tired eyes. There's a young girl, buried from her chest down, still alive, still breathing. After 2 days, the king's jaw dropped. 2 days? Are you sure? I saw it with my own eyes, Kukuma said. 2 boys found her first. They tried digging, but the sand would not move. And the girl? Your Majesty, she said her name is Agatha. She's weak, but she's alive. The king gasped deeply. He stood up suddenly, holding onto his throne for support. Ah! Everyone in the court turned. The king's face was pale. That girl is still alive, inside the Malotha grounds? Kukuma nodded. The king shook his head slowly in fear. No one survives the anger of Queen Malotha, not even for minutes, let alone days. He stepped closer to Kukuma, speaking in a low voice now. For her to still be breathing, the river has claimed her, but not killed her. That means something. He looked around his throne room. Call the high priest. Wake the river shrine maidens. Prepare the sacrifice pots. He turned back to Kukuma, eyes sharp. We need to appease the Queen of Malotha River immediately. He paused. Because if the Queen has kept this girl alive, it means she is not just anybody. She's marked. The sun had barely set when the chief priest returned to the palace. His robe soaked with river water, his eyes red as though he had stared into something no human was meant to see. Everyone in the royal court held their breath. The king stood up quickly. What did Queen Malotha say? The priest wiped his face and dropped to his knees. His voice was trembling. Your Majesty, she spoke. Gasps echoed through the palace. Even the guards took a step back. What did she say? The king asked, gripping his staff tightly. The priest's eyes lifted slowly. She rejected the sacrifices we brought. Rejected? The king whispered. Why? What does she want? She said she doesn't want anything from this kingdom. She said, the priest paused, swallowed hard, she will take her own preferred sacrifice by herself. The king took a shaky step back. Preferred sacrifice? The priest nodded. Yes, but... She gave a warning. Before she releases the girl Agatha, She gave one condition. The priest stood up now, his voice firmer. She said, "Tell the king that on the next market day, everyone, big or small, poor or rich, must gather at Malatha River. No one must remain at home. No hiding, no excuse." The palace murmured in fear. She added, "If anyone refuses to come, let them face the wrath of the king. After the gathering, I will release the victim." The king turned to his guards, his face grave. "Send a town crier to every street, every hut, every market stall. Let every man, woman, child, and elder hear this message loud and clear." His voice roared like thunder. "On the next market day, every soul in this land must appear at Malotha River. No excuses, or I, your king, shall deal with them myself." He paused, breathing deeply. "This is no longer just about Agatha. The Queen of Malotha has set her eyes on us. We must obey or face what none of us are ready for." That same day, the town crier walked through every corner of the quiet village, ringing his bell as loud as thunder. "Hear this, hear this. By the king's order, all must gather at Malotha River on the next market day. No one must be absent, young or old. Anyone who disobeys shall face the king's wrath. This is not a suggestion, it is a command." People paused mid-conversation. Market women dropped their baskets. Old men, sitting on stones, stood up in disbelief. Whispers ran like wildfire through the village. Pamela sat on her bamboo chair, in her compound, legs crossed, sipping Zobo like a queen. Nida sat beside her, separating wrappers and polishing her shoes. "Mummy," Nida said, "I can already feel it in my spirit. This is more than ordinary gathering." Pamela smirked, puffing her cheeks. My daughter, when the king calls a sudden meeting like this, especially by the river, something big is coming." "Maybe they want to honor someone," Nida said, flipping her hair. "Or maybe he wants to choose a new chief or even a new palace maiden." Pamela clapped slowly. "Exactly. Or maybe he wants to recognize important families. We're important, Nida. Ever since that useless orphan girl vanished, peace and blessing has returned to this house." Nida laughed. "Thank God she's gone. Her irritating dreams, I will become a queen. I saw myself feeding the whole nation. I dreamt I was shaking hands with the president. Nonsense. She couldn't even cook properly without burning the pot." Pamela chuckled sarcastically. "Queen Co, President Nee. If only dreams could cook food, we'd all be kings by now." They both laughed. Nida picked out a sparkling dress. "I'll wear this. Simple but elegant, in case the king wants to pick someone for royal duty." Pamela nodded proudly. "Wear the crown, too. Let them know we are not just villagers. We are royalty in waiting." At Malotha Riverbank, the sun rose gently, casting golden rays over the calm Malotha River. One by one, people began to arrive, dressed in their best wrappers, agbadas, beaded necks, and colorful head ties. Children chased one another, thinking it was some kind of village festival. No one, not even one person, knew the real reason behind the king's emergency gathering. Maybe the king wants to appoint a new elder? Or share land? What if it's for palace recruitment? Or announce a festival? Laughter, gossip, chatter. But somewhere near the riverbank, Agatha was there, fully awake, fully watching, fully invisible. She saw every face. She heard every word, but no one saw her. Suddenly, the people turned as they heard loud jingling from bangles. Pamela strutted in like she was the queen of the entire land, her shoulders high, her head wrapped taller than everyone's. Beside her was Nida, fanning herself like royalty, smiling at nothing in particular. "Good morning, Ma," a woman greeted. Pamela didn't respond. She just looked her up and down and whispered to Nida, "These ones don't even know how to dress for royal events. Look at her shoe, suffering and smiling." Nida giggled and whispered back, "Mummy, when they announce your name as a chief today, don't forget me, oh." Pamela raised her voice proudly, enough for nearby villagers to hear. "Can you imagine? No single trace of that orphan girl here either. Malotha River swallowed her whole. Ha ha!" Nida threw her head back in laughter. That's her dream now, dreaming inside the belly of a river. Their laughter echoed across the field. Agatha saw them. She clenched her invisible fists. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from the fire rising in her chest. Then, suddenly, long trumpet sounds filled the air. The crowd straightened their backs. Children were pulled closer. Every mouth closed. The royal guard stepped forward. Behind them was King Ozioma, dressed in his full regalia, his crown glistening under the sun. His face was calm but serious. People bent, others knelt, all showed respect. King Ozioma stood before the crowd and cleared his throat. His deep voice rolled like thunder. People of Malotha Kingdom, I did not summon you here without reason. What I am about to reveal is beyond human wisdom. The river you are standing before has spoken. And today, before your very eyes, it shall speak again. Gasps, shock, confusion. Nida blinked and whispered, "Mummy, did the king just say the river is going to speak?" Pamela hissed, "It's just proverb, my dear. They love to exaggerate." But deep inside the water, something began to stir. Moments after the king's speech, suddenly, the calm river began to bubble. Waves danced like snakes. Wind swirled around everyone. People looked left and right, confused and frightened. Then, a thunderclap echoed from beneath the water. A mysterious, commanding female voice thundered through the air. Queen Malotha had arrived. "You dare gather before my sacred waters in silence and ignorance? Has your memory failed you all? This is my sacred month. No dirt must enter my river. You all know that anyone who violates this will die instantly on my soil." The crowd froze, eyes widened. A heavy fear crawled up every spine. Mothers held their children. Elders trembled. Suddenly, the water surface began to move. And then, the dirty, blood-stained sanitary pad floated up from the depths of the river, wet, glowing faintly red, spinning like a cursed symbol. People gasped in horror. Pamela's knees wobbled. Nida screamed and held tightly to her mother. Pamela whispered shakily, "Don't panic. Nothing will happen. After all, I already sent Agatha to die. She's the sacrifice. It's done. I did what the gods wanted." But then Queen Malotha's voice thundered again. "You fool, you speak of sacrifices? The one who threw this filth into my sacred river is not an ordinary girl. She is the future queen of this kingdom." A loud gasp rippled across the crowd. Pamela staggered. Nida choked on air. "Queen, what?" "Not only queen," the voice continued. "She is destined to employ millions, to bring honor and prosperity to this land. Her name will be spoken across nations. How dare you, a mere mortal, think you could offer her as sacrifice?" The sky darkened. The wind grew stronger. "She cannot be used to appease me, so I have chosen my sacrifice myself. The one who sent her shall take her place." "No!" Pamela screamed and fell to her knees. "You can't take two sacrifices for the same offense, Queen Malotha. You can't. Agatha already paid the price. Why are you coming for me?" Her voice cracked. Her makeup ran down with her tears. Her head tie flew off. She crawled on her knees in the sand. "Please, mercy, I'm a mother." Then, silence fell. A sudden light from the sky shone down. And Agatha, still buried half in the earth, became visible. The crowd gasped. That's the orphan girl. She's still alive?" Then the voice echoed again. "Behold, the future. She shall rise, but first my judgment must fall." Pamela and Nida screamed. The ground beneath them began to crack, slowly. Nida cried, "Mommy, Mommy, the floor is shaking." Pamela screamed to the king, "Save me! I cooked for your wife. Tell the river spirit to wait." The king turned his face. The guards stepped back, and the bubbling water began to move towards them. As the river churned and roared, the waters suddenly rushed out like a mighty serpent and wrapped themselves around Pamela's body. "No!" she shrieked, clawing at the air, trying to hold on to anything, but there was nothing to grasp. The water dragged her violently across the sand, pulling her in front of everyone as the crowd screamed and scattered backward. "Please, somebody help me," she cried. But it was too late. The earth beneath her cracked and began to suck her in slowly like quicksand, her body disappearing inch by inch. Her hands flailed. Her head shook violently. Her eyes begged for mercy, until only her head remained above the ground, shaking, crying, bowing, involuntarily. Meanwhile, Agatha rises. At that very moment, Agatha's body, buried for days, began to lift. The ground that once held her hostage now loosened its grip with reverence. She slowly rose, glowing faintly with golden light, her skin unblemished, her eyes clear, strong, and full of wonder. The moment her bare feet touched the earth, a royal trumpet blew from the king's side. The king's crier stepped forward, lifted his staff, and thundered, "All hail the future queen of our land, Atha!" A wave of shock and awe ran through the crowd. Even Nada, stunned and frozen, fell on her knees and bowed involuntarily beside her mother's head. And even Pamela's half-buried head bowed in surrender, as if nature itself forced her to acknowledge what she once despised. A deep silence swept the land. Then the thunderous voice of Queen Malotha echoed again, shaking the trees. "Take her to the palace. She shall be raised like royalty until her time comes, for in her hands lies the future of this kingdom." The wind carried her words like a sacred decree. Suddenly, two majestic royal horses, glittering in gold and white, rode in on their own, no one guiding them. The king nodded. Guards stepped forward with grace and reverence, gently lifting Agatha and placing her upon the royal saddle. The crowd erupted. "Hail Agatha! Hail the future queen! May she live long and rule in wisdom." Some cried, others knelt, a few clapped and danced joyfully. At that exact second, the earth rumbled, and in one loud gulp, Pamela's head was swallowed, gone. Silence fell again, a cold hush. Nida dropped to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Mommy, please no. Come back. Somebody do something. Queen Malotha, please, I'm sorry. We didn't know." But even the elders whispered, "You can beg a king, but you cannot stop the wrath of Malotha." No one dared move. Only Agatha's horses galloped forward, heading to the palace, while all eyes followed her. A once-forgotten girl, now royalty chosen by the gods. Meanwhile, Nida wept until her throat went dry, until there were no more tears to shed. Her body trembled with grief and fear. As the crowd dispersed and silence returned to Malotha River, an elderly woman approached her gently, her voice barely a whisper. "My child, go. Leave this place before Queen Malotha's eyes rest on you next." Nida sniffled and looked up with swollen eyes. The woman didn't wait for a reply. She simply led her away, slow and quiet. But that was the beginning of Nida's true suffering. She went to her mother's siblings, her uncles and aunts, pleading for help, for food, for a place to stay. They looked at her coldly. "Your mother brought shame to this family. Let the gods judge her children as they judged her." Each door closed on her face. Meanwhile, Agatha's glory begins. In the palace, Agatha now wore royal garments, her hair done by palace maidens. She rode royal horses through the markets, the sunlight gleaming off her gold-embroidered robe. Children chanted her name, "Agatha, our queen-to-be." "Bless us, Agatha." Armed royal guards flanked her at all times. She smiled, waved, and moved with grace. Sometimes she visited the public parks. The once-forgotten girl now watched the sunset with guards beside her and servants offering fruit juice. She now studied at the best school in the land, surrounded by tutors from all over the world, learning leadership, diplomacy, and history. In palace meetings, the king often raised his voice with pride. "We must protect our future. That child, that star, she is our hope. The one who holds the future of our land, Agatha!" Everyone nodded. Everyone agreed. While on the edge of town, Nida crouched behind a broken fence, watching a royal procession pass. There was Agatha, riding like a goddess, the very girl she and her mother once mocked. Nida whispered with regret. "She dreamt of it. She told me. I laughed." But now she watched the dream become a reality. And she She had nothing. No food, no home, no love. She buried her face in her knees, whispering, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Agatha." The end. Hello, besties. Did you see that? This is an unforgettable journey from rejection to royalty, from pride to punishment. Agatha, the girl once mocked, became the future queen. Pamela, filled with hatred and pride, faced the wrath of the gods. Nida, left alone, learned the hard way that every action has consequences. Advice and moral lessons. Don't mock people's dreams. What you laugh at today may become your only hope tomorrow. Be careful what you throw into the world. What you give may come back multiplied. Besties, if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment. Tell me what you learned. Share to inspire someone. Subscribe to stay updated with more thrilling stories. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any twist. I love you all so much. God bless you richly, and never stop dreaming.